big family, the Kenneys. 11 of us. I'm the 5th. We live in a village in the valley. Sunday afternoons, we go for long walks. Sometimes people thought we were a Sunday school outing. So many of us. We'd walk for miles to see the first spring flower. And in the evenings, my mother would read to us. Somehow the stories were always about the poor people who lived in London.
The alley into which he turned might, for filth and misery, have competed with the darkest corner of this ancient sanctuary in its dirtiest and most lawless time. The houses, varying from 2-story to 4, were stained with every indescribable hue that long exposure to the weather, damp and rottenness could impart to tenements composed originally of the roughest and coarsest materials. The windows were patched with paper and stuffed with the foulest rags. The doors were hanging from their hinges. Poles with lines on which to dry clothes projected from every casement, and sounds of quarrelling and drunkenness issued from every room.
I think it was my mother's idea my sister and I joined the choir. Well, it wasn't my idea. I can't sing.
Mighty in faith, long freedom, your great mother. Giants refreshed in joy's new rising morn. Come and swell the song, silent now surround. England is risen, and the day is here.
Thank you all very much. That was splendid. You've earned a short rest while I try to remember where I put that new music.
Oh, I'm tired.
Oh, Annie, are you free next Thursday evening?
Next Thursday? Well, Mr. Balfour's promised to take me to the Midland Hotel for dinner.
Tory Prime Ministers always let you down, you know that.
It's something exciting.
Well, Jane's invited us to a special meeting of the Oldham Trades Council.
What's special about that?
Well, they've got 2 guest speakers coming, Teresa Billington and Christabel Pankhurst, talking about women's suffrage.
Christabel, is that Miss Pankhurst's daughter? I heard her mother speak once. I never understood a word she said.
Come to work, please.
I'll come if it doesn't break.
We'll sing The Patriot Sim.
Now, we have been accused, not without reason, of being a middle-class organization pursuing middle-class aims. Let me deny that accusation here and now. This is a much bigger battle on a much larger battlefield. Consider the average middle-class lady of leisure. She is warm, she is comfortable and well-fed, she has a husband to work for her, servants to save her from soiling her hands. Tell her she is disenfranchised and she'll wonder what the word means and be much too polite to us. Consider the working class woman. She brings up her own children, looks after her husband, cleans the house, and very likely works a long shift at the mill as well. Isn't this the woman who is entitled to a say in how the world, her world, is organized? In the voice of the poet, we're far too low to vote the tax, but we're not too low to pay. In the past, we have said to our governments, are you in favor of women having the vote? And they smile, nod their heads gravely, and agree. Yes, they are in favor, but unfortunately, they have other are more pressing problems. An election to win or a war to fight, and women must take their turn this year, next year, sometime never. And so, we have changed the question. Now the question is, will you give us the vote? And we will demand the answer, yes.
Miss Pankhurst?
Yes?
I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed your speech.
I'm not so much concerned with enjoyment. Did you agree with it?
Every word.
What can you do to help us?
Help you.
Well, I'm not interested in people who smile, nod their heads bravely, and walk away.
You said that in your speech.
We're the new kind of politician. We say the same things up there and down here.
I'm a mill worker and I'm active in the trade union. There's no reason why I couldn't organise some meetings. Several meetings, if you like. The factory women, the working women.
What's your name, dear?
Annie. Annie Kenney.
Annie to your friends. I'm Christabel to mine. This is my mother.
You're Annie. It's very good to meet you. Christabel tells me you're going to work miracles for us on the factory floor.
I shall do my best.
My sister, Sylvia.
Hello, Annie.
How do you do, Miss Pankhurst?
Sylvia.
Sylvia's moved to London. She's only home for the weekend.
Teresa Billington, who you met the other evening.
But everybody calls me Tess. Total lack of respect.
Come and sit down. Thank you. Now, I'd like you all to meet Annie Kenney. Sit down.
Thank you.
Well, now, tell us about yourself.
Everything?
Everything.
Shall I leave out the rude bits? Thank you. Oh, we're a big family, the Kenneys. 11 of us, and I'm the 5th. We live in a village in the valley. When we go walking on Sundays, sometimes we were mistaken for a Sunday school outing.
Is that where you work?
By those chimneys, yeah. Started part-time when I was 10, full-time 13.
Sweated labor, as Sylvia would say.
Did get a bit warm sometimes.
So you started work in the trade union movement?
Oh, I just talk too much, that's all. So when the girls wanted a spokeswoman, they pick one that talks too much. Sensible people keep quiet and walk away, but not me. The mouth flies open, words come tumbling out. It can be a nuisance sometimes.
Your mother sounds like a marvelous woman.
She was.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, she died at the beginning of the year. I miss her a lot. We were very close. A bit like you and your mother, I think. It's why I'd like to do something. It's a struggle bringing up 11 of us. It's always a struggle.
I love that story about her reading to you on Sunday evenings.
That wasn't a story. That was true. And she encouraged us to read. We had a house full of books. There was Tom Paine and Carpenter, Blatchford and Walt Whitman.
We got the same books.
Oh, I can recite great chunks of poetry if nobody stops me.
Well, nobody's stopping you.
Hey, do you know the great city?
I live in it. It's called Manchester.
Manchester near Oldham, we say. No. Walt Whitman's great city, where women walk in public processions in the streets, the same as men, where they enter public assemblies.
There the great city stands.
That one.
It's my father's favorite poem.
Hey, and that one you quoted at the Trades Council, I know hundreds of verses of that one.
Which one?
Down, down we go, so very, very low, to the depths of the deep sunk mine. And we gather the proudest gems that glow when the crown of the despot shines. And when he lacks upon our backs fresh loads he deigns to lay. We're far too low to vote the tax, but we're not too low to pay. Hey, and that one about the weavers? We're low, we're very, very low, but from our fingers glide the silken flow and the robes that glow round the limbs of the sons of pride. And what we get and what we give we know, and we know our share. We're not too low to weave the cloth, but too low the cloth to wear. I could go on forever. It's my Christmas recitation. It's beautiful. We're not really too low to walk in the great city, are we?
What a funny girl you are.
I know. Some people say so, and I hit them.
Every time we go walking, we must take a notebook and pencil and write down all the important ideas we discussed. Do you agree?
Don't have many ideas of my own. Mostly other people's. Yes, I agree. One thing you could write down when you get your notebook.
What?
Dates. Dates of the meetings I'm organising.
I'm speaking for the women who work in the mills, the weavers, the cardroom workers, ring spinners, winders, reelers, women who work 10 hours a day and then go back, look after their husbands, their home and a house full of children. Women who work in the sweated home trades, 14 hours a day for 6 shillings a week. This is the world that men have made for us, and this is the world we are going to change when we get the vote.
Question, missus.
I'll answer any question.
What about horses?
What about horses?
Well, why shouldn't horses have the vote? That horse of yours talks more sense than you do.
And he works a lot harder than you do. And he drinks less.
I'll tell you what, Mickey. If I were married to you, I'd push you off Blackpool Tower.
I'll tell you what, mister, if I were married to you, I'd jump off Blackpool Tower.
But it will take a great many letters.
Well, how long do we have?
About 5 days.
Oh, my goodness. Annie!
Good morning.
Here you are. Thank you. Annie, I hear great things of the work you're doing.
Don't believe everything you read in the papers.
Oh, I don't. I believe what my daughter tells me.
Annie's wonderful.
Oh, go on, I'm ordinary.
Christabel's usually right.
Well, Oldham wasn't very wonderful.
What happened at Oldham?
I organised this big meeting for Christabel. Sent out pamphlets, chalked on pavements, did all the usual things. I even got Mr. Chatterton to let the choir come along and sing, you know, get him in a good mood for Christabel's speech. If it hadn't been for the choir, there wouldn't have been anyone there at all.
Annie's exaggerating as usual. It's her only weakness. She likes to make up good stories.
It was nearly true.
There were other people there besides the choir.
Oh, yeah, there were 2 friends of my sister's and a tabby cat that chased in a mouse. Didn't see the mouse, did you?
The mouse? I'm glad I wasn't there.
It's hard life in Oldham.
There won't be room for a mouse at the Free Trade Hall.
Except on the platform.
Free Trade Hall? We're not holding a meeting at the Free Trade Hall, are we?
Not us, the Liberals.
Winston Churchill and Sir Edward Grey rousing the electorate ready for the general election.
Well, I shan't go to that. I've heard all that before.
We all have.
You're going, Annie, and so am I.
Is it compulsory?
Well, you see, somebody has to ask the question.
If you are elected, will you do your best to make women's suffrage a government measure?
That's a very cunning question.
Is it?
If Winston Churchill says yes, the government will be committed. And then if he says no, the Liberal women will want to know the reason why.
Is that your question? Well, say they ignore it or refuse to answer.
We have to make them answer.
You mean we ask a question, then we wait and see what happens? Have to think fast.
That's why
we're
going.
You're not frightened, are you?
Well, if I can hold meetings at pitheads and factory gates, a few Liberals don't worry me.
But you know the reason, Annie. I'm a working woman, too.
Well, I know you're the breadwinner, Mrs. Pankhurst.
Well, my employers have threatened that if I continue with my political activities, they'll dismiss me. Well, unhappily, at the moment, it's impossible for me blithely to ignore that threat.
No shouting from the gallery at the Free Trade Hall.
Precisely.
And I don't mind. I'll shout at anybody.
Thank you.
Next question, please.
If you are elected, will you do your best to make women's suffrage a government measure?
May we have the next question, please?
But you haven't
Yes?
answered our question.
If you are elected, will you do your best to make women's suffrage a government measure?
Gentlemen at the back of the hall downstairs.
If you are elected, will you do your best to make women's suffrage a government measure?
May we have your question,
What are
sir?
you frightened of?
Yes,
What is
you-
the Liberal Party frightened
If you
of?
are elected, will you do your best to make women's suffrage a government measure?
Are you prepared to see this happening in your country? The land of the free!
Kenney and Miss Pankhurst are charged with disorderly behavior in the street, and Miss Pankhurst is also charged with assaulting the police.
Wicked woman.
Now, it is common knowledge that a large meeting was held last night at which many speakers were giving their views. The defendants had evidently set out with the firm intention of creating a disturbance. During the meeting, the defendants seemed to have been anxious to ask questions of the speakers. And at one period of the meeting, one or both of the defendants mounted the seats upon which they were sitting and yelled and shrieked to the utmost of their ability.
It must have been you. I'm frightened of.
Will you please be quiet, Miss Kenney?
Eventually, the shrieking and shouting became such that the attendants thought fit to eject them. The defendants were then taken to an anteroom and asked to restrain themselves. Miss Pankhurst spat in the face of Superintendent Watson and also struck him. They were then put out into the street and asked to go away quietly, but they refused, began to scream again, and caused a large crowd to collect. Well, it was then that the police became determined that they should be taken to the police station. Now, if the evidence is true, the defendants behave more like women from the slums. In spite of this, there is no desire that a heavy penalty should be inflicted, but the magistrates will be asked to take such means as to prevent a recurrence of such a scene.
I have no intention of denying the main points made by the prosecution. But in defense of my actions, I believe they were justified because of the treatment I received at the hands of Sir Edward Grey and other speakers at the Free Trade Hall. At the time I assaulted the police officers, I was not aware that they were police officers. I thought they were liberals. My deepest regret is that one of the men I assaulted was not Sir Edward Grey himself. I spat in the officer's face because my arms were held and I could not hit him. I attended the meeting to protest in a proper, democratic way against the political position of women. This is the only way we can obtain justice. We shall be heard of again, gentlemen, and often. When we have the vote, we shall not come here. But so long as men like Sir Edward Grey and his Liberal Party will not allow us...
Confine yourself to the charges we have to deal with, Miss Pankhurst. Political speeches are outside the scope of this court. And very properly, too.
Very well. I have no complaint to make against the police. The assault was intended for unruly members of the public who would not allow me to explain my point of view. I stand by my every action and shall do the same again.
Thank you, Miss Pankhurst.
Christabel was absolutely splendid. She's never anything less. I suppose not. I wonder whether Annie will also be absolutely splendid.
I'm a mill worker, a representative of the local Cardroom Hand Association. I'm currently assisting in the organisation of working women for the Independent Labour Party, and I went to that meeting on behalf of those women to ask a certain question of Sir Edward Grey.
We are not concerned with Sir Edward Grey.
Sir, I'm very concerned with Sir Edward Grey. If it were not for Sir Edward Grey, I would not be standing here now.
Will you please limit your remarks to the charges?
What am I charged with? I've forgotten in all the confusion.
Obstructing the police.
Well, I might have obstructed some people, and they might have been policemen. On the other hand, I was obstructed. I was treated very roughly, and I was hustled out of that hall by what might have been policemen, but I had no way of telling. In any case, I have no regrets about anything I did. I was there as a representative of the working women of this country.
Quite right, too.
You've had your say, Miss Pankhurst, at considerable length. Have you anything to add, Miss Kennedy?
I'd do it all again if necessary.
Any further questions, Mr. Bell?
No, sir.
You may stand on, Miss Kennedy.
Well done.
Thank you.
I wonder what they're going to do to us.
Deportation, I should think.
They're going away to decide. But whatever it is, we're ready for them.
Miss Pankhurst, Carrick, Evening Chronicle. May I have a word with you?
So long as you write down exactly what I said.
Oh, and that we think it's all Sir Edward Grey's fault.
Yes.
Right.
Miss Pankhurst will be fined 10 shillings for assaulting the police, with the alternative of 7 days' imprisonment. Miss Pankhurst and Miss Kenney will be fined 5 shillings each for obstructing the police, with the alternative of 3 days' imprisonment. In the case of Miss Pankhurst, the sentences will be concurrent.
I shall pay no fine.
Have you any goods to distrain upon?
No, I think not.
Miss Kenney?
I refuse to pay the fine and I have no goods.
You both know the alternative.
Annie. Hello, Jessie, love. It's good of you to call.
Oh. We didn't know anything about it till we read it in the paper.
It's all right, love. It's painless and they can't eat you.
We were worried, Annie.
No need. I'm a regular old lad. Is there a lot in the papers?
Oh, pages and pages. Annie, love, I bought some money to pay the fine.
No, I don't want you to pay the fine.
I thought I'd better ask you first.
Good girl. Now, you give that money to the WSPU. They need it.
Oh, it said in the paper that Winston Churchill wanted to pay the fine.
Save the honour of the Liberal Party and his next seat in the general election. No, look, Jess, if we'd have gone away quietly like they asked us or paid the fine, there'd have been nothing in the papers. Perhaps a few paragraphs. But this way...
The prison way?
Right.
What's it really like?
Well, it's strange, really. You know you're only in here for 3 days. That's what they tell you. But you fret. You wonder if they'll forget what they said. It's the worst part, Jess. You feel forgotten. You wonder if they'll remember at the end of 3 days to let you out. When you see those other women, you know how lucky you are. And that you go to chapel and they tell you how wicked you are. There's hellfire and damnation waiting for you if you don't repent. But we're all women, really. A bit sad and lost, most of them. When they lock you up in your cell, that's when you feel forgotten. But when you're with the others, your sisters, well, it's much easier. If I have any doubts about the movement, I haven't got any now. How about you?
Me?
You know what they say, love, those who aren't with us.
I know the rest. I'm not frightened of going to prison if you're not.
You'll get your chance, my pet.
Not pet. Sister.
Hello, Mother. Did you have a good day?
Oh, a London day.
You're very late. The meeting was this afternoon.
Oh, the meeting.
As bad as that.
It's become an annual ritual. Once a year, the suffrage societies and organizations converge on London in their coats of many colors, and they coordinate policy, and they go away again, and the years go by, and nothing happens.
You were optimistic this morning.
Yes, well, morning's the time for optimism, isn't it? Yes, I was optimistic. This year, I hoped. There's been a new spirit in the air. We seem to be gaining momentum.
Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood.
Oh, we sat around that table and we told each other what we'd been doing, and we passed resolutions congratulating each other, and several people made speeches saying, now is the time for patience. The burden of proof lies with the other side. The tide of history is with us. And I realized just how wrong they all were.
Well, I hope you told them so.
I did. I told them, you will wait forever if you're relying on patience and polite letters and carefully worded petitions. You'll wait forever if you're relying on the goodwill and understanding of our political leaders. I told them I will not wait forever. I want action now. And then I walked out.
Hope you're still on speaking terms.
Oh, I was very civil, extremely polite.
Where did you go?
I went to see Keir Hardie. We worked very carefully through a list of the 14 honourable gentlemen who are to bring private members' bills this session. Which one would be agreeable to giving up his bill in favour of the woman suffrage bill?
Any success?
I think so. Bamford Slack. He's a supporter, and he might welcome a chance to go down in history.
We've had private members' bills before. All thrown out.
I know. And you know they're all based on the bill your father drafted, oh, my dear God, when was it? 25 years ago. What do you think your father would want us to do? Would he expect us to wait patiently? Would he want us to demand action?
No question. We demand. Perhaps we should demand more than a private member's bill.
Do I preach?
Yes.
Do you mind?
Would it make any difference if I did?
No, I suppose not.
We should make enough noise to persuade the Liberals to put women's suffrage into their election programme.
Keir Hardie's going to talk to Asquith about it. Poor man.
Which one?
Not sure.
But I have the greatest sympathy with the women's cause. You know that, Hardie.
Liberal sympathy, I know. Like your sympathy for the unemployed, for the sick, for the hungry and the dispossessed.
I've heard you make this speech in the House. Do I have to listen to it here,
It's like
too?
the sympathy of the hangman for his victim. I have the greatest sympathy, he says, pulling the lever.
I'm concerned with reason, not emotionalism.
There is a great and mighty chasm that lies between sympathy and action. How can the Liberals be persuaded to leap across it?
Not by strident female agitation. We find that very irritating.
My heart bleeds for you.
In any case, you know the answers to your questions.
You'll have to explain that to me. Haven't you had your educational privileges?
It's true we are drawing up our election program. We make our list. Now, many of the people you mention, the sick, the unemployed...
The hungry and the dispossessed. I'm sure they would like to be in your list, Mr. Asquith.
I'm sure they will be. We assess the priorities, the claims on our attention.
And arrange them in the order that will win you votes.
We need votes. Can you manage without votes?
Tell me, where does women's suffrage come on your list of priorities?
Nowhere. It doesn't quite fit on the list.
Because it wouldn't win you votes.
Because it is and was an issue that is the concern of a tiny, albeit noisy, minority. Now, I don't believe the majority of the population wants women to have the vote. I believe the majority of people don't even care enough to debate the issue. And you know well enough that the parliamentary tradition is that any legislation should reflect a consensus view among the people.
And you refuse to be diverted from your duty by agitators and extremists?
Why should we be? I'm sure we will make parliamentary time available for any member who cares to introduce a private member's
Which
bill.
the backwoodsman will throw out the same way they threw out every other private member's bill.
There have to be safeguards in parliamentary
To
procedure.
prevent reckless legislation?
Precisely.
Like giving people the simple democratic right to cast a vote for the candidate of their choice.
Hardie, I assure you my sympathy is genuine, but you must know that politics is largely a question of timing. The time is not yet right. The feeling among the people...
What do you know about people? When do you ever meet any people? Like the people of the Clyde or the people of the Welsh Valley?
Tell me, do the Welsh miners support you and Mrs. Pankhurst?
They would like a voice in the way their country is run, but that's the real objection, isn't it? If you extend the franchise, even a modest amount, let's say to women householders over the age of 30, Dr. Pankhurst's recommendation, then several million men will also demand the vote, perhaps every man over 21, irrespective of property qualification.
The vote is a privilege. It must be earned.
Not a privilege, a basic human right.
You see, we disagree. A great and mighty chasm.
How do we cross it?
In the proper democratic way. You have a case, you must prove that case by reasoned argument and peaceful persuasion, but not by militant agitation. Gentle persuasion allied to patience.
You recommend patience?
The great British virtue.
It astonishes me that you people still believe that.
Don't mind if I eat while we talk, do you?
Not at all.
I only said it for politeness' sake. I'm so hungry I'd eat even if you did object.
Perhaps you'd like a cup of tea.
Oh, thank you very much.
What would you like me to say?
Well, If you could just tell us about your prison experiences, Miss Kenney.
Well, we were very well treated. I'd like you to say that. No complaints about the treatment. We did have to wear prison clothing, but they gave us nice warm underwear. Not pretty, but warm, or shouldn't I say that?
Say whatever you like.
Oh, and they gave me a lovely pair of boots. One was too big and the other one was too small. Everybody has to take a bath, but Miss Pankhurst and myself, they thought we were clean enough.
What about the food?
Oh, the food was lovely. Nice if you like brown bread and porridge. 3 times on Sunday we had brown bread and porridge. That's when it wasn't porridge and brown bread. Am I going too fast, Wayne?
No, you're doing fine.
Oh, and on Sunday, you have to go to chapel, where they tell you you mustn't steal, and you mustn't lie, you mustn't do all sorts of things you don't do anyway, so it's funny, really, except you mustn't laugh. But no complaints, now don't forget to put that.
I won't forget. Well, thank you very much for talking to me, Miss Kenney.
You haven't asked me if I'm willing to go back to prison.
I think I know the answer to that.
Good. I'm glad.
Good morning, Miss Kenney.
Good morning.
Enjoy your breakfast.
Thank you very much. I'll show you out.
Thank you, Tom. That's so early. You've no idea the fuss you've caused.
Good fuss or a bad fuss?
Very good. Lots of letters from all over the country. Good. Protest meetings. There's one at the Free Trade Hall on Saturday. Keir Hardy's going to speak. The brave little mill girl who's won the hearts of the country.
Beg your pardon?
Well, that's what one of the papers said. One that's on our side, of course.
Isn't it easy to get into the newspapers? I don't know if I want to be a mill girl, Tess.
There's nothing to be ashamed of.
Nobody wants to be a mill girl. You get pushed into it. You've got no choice.
Isn't that what the battle's all about? Women having the choice.
Of course, you're right. Where would I be if there weren't people around me telling me what to think all the time? Got any more bacon?
We have a Liberal government with a massive majority.
But Labour just won 29 seats. That helps us, doesn't it? And Keir Hardy's promised to introduce a private members' bill.
Well, he'll still need government support behind the scenes.
Well, we'll just have to carry on making a nuisance of ourselves.
Well, is that enough? Did you enjoy your trip to London?
I kept getting on the wrong bus. But yes, I did like it. Made them all laugh at Albert Hall.
You made them laugh?
Well, it was the usual thing. Tess and I tried to ask our question and they wouldn't answer. So we got up and unfurled our banners. That's when they all laughed.
Why?
Guess his banner was upside down. Now what you writing?
We must attack the problem at its heart. It's necessary for us to form a London committee of the Women's Social and Political Union, a permanent London organisation.
Yes. And you could go to London when you finish your law studies.
You could go now.
Me?
Do you think you could rouse London to militant action?
Don't see why not. I'd need some money.
How much? How much to rouse London?
£2 should be enough.
I hate this government, Annie. I hate all government in a nice, friendly way, you know.
I know what you mean.
And you know what they did to me?
What?
I'm the first woman in the Isle of Arran ever to qualify as a postmistress.
Well done.
Aye, the first in Scotland, for all I know. And you know what they did? Well done, Flora, they say. You've done well. But we're raising the height qualification, so we can't actually give you the job. You're clever enough, but you're not tall enough.
It takes an official to think of something like that.
Oh, aye, it does. And when I read about you and that other wee lassie getting locked up, I thought, that's the place for you, Flora. Get yourself down there with your sleeves rolled up. Cut the men down to size.
Now, who's going to buy a raffle ticket, Flora Drummond?
Oh, well, that depends on the prize, Mrs. Pankhurst. You're dealing with a Scotswoman, don't forget.
You've introduced yourselves, I take.
Lifelong friends for the last 20 minutes.
Right. Oh, but tell me about your raffle prize.
One of Sylvia's paintings. Come and look.
Oh, it's lovely, really.
Oh, it's grand. How much are your tickets?
10 each. 4 for threepence.
I'll take 4. Yeah, but what's the raffle for?
£2.
£2?
It's my campaign money.
Oh, what campaign is that?
I'm going to London.
Annie's going to rouse the capital of the empire.
On £2? Oh, it's a big city, so they tell me.
I'm a big lady.
Aye, but watch the government. They'll raise the height qualification.
Have you heard from Sylvia?
She's got me a second-hand hot water bottle.
Oh, you're staying with Sylvia, then?
Best digs in London, I'm told.
But £2? Mrs. Pankhurst,
that's splendid, yes.
I'll have 4 more of your raffle tickets.
Oh.
Oh, excuse me. Could you tell me the way to Chelsea, please?
Is this all?
All my worldly goods.
Come in. Oh, Mrs. Rowe, this is Annie Kenney. Annie, this is Mrs. Rowe, my landlady.
Welcome to Park Walk, dear.
Thank you very much.
You'd like something to eat after your journey, I expect?
Don't go to too much trouble.
Oh, no trouble. Oh, by the way, Annie, I know why you're here, and I'm on your side. One of the chosen.
Good. She seems ever so nice.
She is. Well, sit down. Make yourself at home.
Well, I've had a long sit on the train. I'll wander about a bit if it's all right. Are these all yours?
Yes.
They're beautiful.
They should be better.
No, really, they're lovely.
Thank you. I don't work hard enough.
You never stop working, so your mother says.
I don't work hard enough at painting. Always in trouble at college. Give up your political work. Concentrate on your studies. I take no notice.
Same for Christabel, especially since she's been to prison. College authorities didn't like that. Law students shouldn't go to prison. They banned her from political activities. I suppose it is a bit of a contradiction in their eyes. She's a marvellous girl, Christabel.
So everybody tells me.
They say you're marvellous, too.
And you've acquired a reputation for quick thinking. I can see why.
I'll have to improve on my thinking.
Oh, why?
Well, the last time I came to London for the Albert Hall meeting, I kept getting on the wrong bus. Saw a lot of sights I didn't mean to.
Tell me where you want to go, and I'll give you very careful instructions.
Yes, and a sign round my neck saying, if lost, please return to 45 Park Walk, Chelsea.
If you like.
I'm going to see Keir Hardy in the morning.
Ah, well, that's easy. There's a well-worn path between here and Keir Hardy's.
I thought there might be.
And when you've had a day to settle in, I'll show you some of the sights.
Yeah, I'd love to see the National Gallery.
Oh, I don't mean those sights. I mean the sort of sights they don't talk about in polite circles. The East End. Have a look at some of the faces in the East End, Annie. That's the real National Gallery.
Don't underestimate Sylvia, Annie. Oh, I know you worship the ground that Christabel Pankhurst walks on, and no doubt with good reason. But Sylvia's sown the seeds where they'll bring forth the fruit that your movement needs.
You mean in the East End?
Among the working classes, correct? Oh, I'll not deny the value of having the middle classes on your side, or even the occasional aristocrat with a guilty conscience and a few shillings to spend. But it's the age of the working class, Annie, and it's their support will win the day for you in the end.
I agree with you. That's why I brought me clogs and shawl.
Did you? I thought you were resolved never to wear them again.
Well, I was. But we thought, if we lobby Parliament or march on Downing Street, the clogs and shawl would look more interesting in photographs in the newspapers. And that's what we think.
That's what Christabel thinks.
Might have been Christabel. Don't have many ideas of my own.
Annie, my love, just a wee warning.
What about?
Especially now you're in London. Don't you let anybody patronise you.
Who would do that?
Anybody. Believe me, Annie, I know. Any son or daughter of the working class who shows the brains and the intelligence to move among the lords and masters, like you and like me, give the lords and masters half a chance, they'll turn you into a performing monkey. I've seen it. My own party. The new Labour members, they enjoy the patronage, the dining and wining, and it destroys them in the end. They don't even know it's happening. Don't let other people pull the strings, Annie. Keep a tight hold on the strings. That way you keep a tight hold on your own soul.
I do my best.
Oh, I'll back you to survive. Well, here now, it's time we did some work.
That's what I'm here for.
Tell me, did you ever hear tell of a Mr. and Mrs. Pethick Lawrence?
Oh, I've heard a bit about them.
Well, Frederick's an ex-president of the Cambridge Union, but you mustn't hold that against him. He married a good woman and saw the light. He publishes the Labour Record, and the pair of them run a mission for working-class girls. Now, the thing is this, they're good organisers. And that's another thing you'll need, organisation to go with your working-class support. And you'll get organisation from Frederick and Emmeline if you can persuade them to cooperate.
I'll persuade them.
Well, I give you fair warning. Mrs. Pankhurst tried to get them involved, and they refused, said they were already too busy, too many commitments, which happens to be true. So you'll have to do a fair bit of work.
Be all right.
Well, if there's anything else you want me to do, you know.
Well, it's just one thing.
Oh, I know. I know. I'll tell you which bus to catch.
Oh, thank you.
See, go you down to the foot of that road there, get on the first bus that comes, any bus. Mention my name to the driver, tell him where you want to go, and you'll be all right. You'll have no trouble at all. You don't believe that?
I do.
Miss... Kenney. Annie Kenney.
Have you your card?
The Pethick Lawrences are expecting me.
Oh, I see. Perhaps you'd like to come in and sit down, Miss Kenney. I'll see if they're ready to receive you. Mr. and Mrs. Pethick Lawrence will see you now, Miss Kenney. Miss Annie Kenney.
Hello, Miss Kenney.
How do you do, Mr. Pethick Lawrence?
My wife, Emmeline.
Delighted to meet you, Miss Kenney.
I'm delighted too.
Please, do sit down.
Thank you very much.
Those are great.
Have you fully recovered from your experiences in prison?
Prison? I've forgotten all about that. It happened so long ago.
Good. Now, please, don't think me rude, Miss Kenney, but before you tell us why you've come, and I think that we're both well enough informed to guess why you've come, I must ask you to be reasonably brief. We both have other meetings to attend.
Well, we want you to join our movement. It's the Women's Social and Political Union.
Mrs. Pankhurst asked us before, and we declined.
I know that, yes.
Well, what makes you think we'll change our minds?
Well, people change their minds all the time, don't they? At least I do. A year ago, I wasn't interested in any of this. But I changed my mind. I changed it enough to go to prison.
Yes, well, there are a great many good causes in the world, all good enough to go to prison for. There just isn't time to support them all.
That's what we told Mrs. Pankhurst.
But you agree it's a good cause?
Well, of course. There's no dispute about that.
You're sympathisers.
We both are.
We've got more sympathy we know what to do with. We can paper the walls with sympathy. The Prime Minister, he says he's a sympathiser, but he doesn't do anything. I'm sorry if it sounds rude, but I didn't come for your sympathy. I came for your support.
You must realise the extent of our present responsibilities.
I know you're very busy people. Mr. Keir Hardy told me that.
We run a cooperative dressmaking business, a holiday hotel for working girls.
Yes, perhaps.
Yeah.
Mr. Keir Hardy told me that too. Now, there's a busy man, but he's a supporter.
You see, we run the West London Mission, and I publish a newspaper and
My mother said if you want something doing, you go to a busy person.
But there are limits, Miss Kenney, however noble your intentions.
I'm sorry, I don't think there are any limits. Look, I don't want to sound rude, but...
Go on.
Well, those who aren't with us must be against us. Told you it was rude. Perhaps I could do something for you in return.
What?
I could talk to the girls in the hostel. I could tell them about the movement. Or I could tell them about prison. My adventures in strange ways. I can go on for about an hour without repeating myself, and it usually goes down very well. Ask me what sort of support we need. There's no obligation. I'll be brief, and you won't miss your other meetings.
What sort of support do you need?
Well, Mr. Keir Hardy said you'd be the ideal person to be the first national treasurer of the Women's Social and Political Union.
National treasurer?
The first. He said you were very efficient and businesslike. Well, we're not efficient or businesslike. We can't get our questions answered, and we end up in prison.
Have you any funds?
No, not really. They gave me £2 to come down to London with, but that's all gone now. I think we might be in debt.
Honorary treasurer with the emphasis on honorary.
Well, the idea was that the treasurer would raise funds for the campaign. You see, It's all been Mrs. Pankhurst's money so far. And she's not a rich woman. She's as poor as I am, but she won't admit it. Mr. Hardy said you were very good at raising money.
What a talkative man he is.
Perhaps Sylvia could donate a painting.
Painting?
Well, if you decide to hold a raffle or something like that, she could... I know I'm talking too much, and these are details of policy.
Well, I hope you don't want an immediate answer.
Oh, no, I wouldn't want to rush you.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Keir Hardy must have said give them time, let the idea simmer.
Yes, he did say something like that. He's a marvellous man, Mr. Hardy.
And so eloquent.
Very.
How much time will you give me to simmer?
Well, there's a meeting tomorrow night at Sylvia's, 45 Park Walk, Chelsea. Now, that's where I'm staying. If you just come along, meet Sylvia and the others, hear about the campaign. Please, say you'll come.
Well, no promises.
I didn't come for promises. Just say you'll come to the meeting.
All right.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Pethick Lawrence. Thank you both. I knew you'd help. And tomorrow night we could talk about me coming to the hostel and telling the girls about prison.
Well, perhaps one thing at a time.
Well, I prefer 3 or 4, but I'm not very sensible. I'll be quiet now and let you get on with your business. Sylvia's taking me to the East End. There's so much of London to see, isn't there?
Yes, it's quite a lot.
It's very exciting.
The resolution is that the Central London Committee of the Women's Social and Political Union be formed. Unanimous. Next, the post of Honorary Secretary.
I propose Sylvia Pankhurst.
Seconded.
Are there any other nominations?
I think you better write unanimously.
Well, thank you all very much. I'll do my best. Next, the position of National Treasurer.
I propose Mrs. Pethick Lawrence.
Seconded.
Perhaps Mrs. Pethick Lawrence isn't prepared to accept the nomination.
Well, if there are any questions we can answer which will help make up your mind.
Well, I know you haven't any money.
Correct.
Have you any place in mind as an office? A headquarters?
Well, we thought here.
You're all most welcome.
What about your studies?
Oh, well,
she'll do that through the night, same as she does at the moment.
What about the rest of the London organisation?
We are the London organisation.
I see. Well, have you any assets? Stamps, stationery, a typewriter?
Flora Drummond. She works for the Oliver Company in Manchester. She might be able to get us a typewriter.
But I think you'll be starting with a totally clean sheet, Mrs. Pethick Lawrence.
I accept the nomination.
I think it'll be carried unanimously.
I shouldn't be surprised.
How was it?
You are married to the first national treasurer of the Women's Social and Political Union.
Yes, I thought I might be. Unanimous decision?
Very little opposition.
Good. Well, how do you find them as an organisation?
There isn't really any organisation. They're reckless, innocent, childlike almost.
Are they right? Their intentions, I mean.
Totally.
A just and noble cause, hmm? All the rest is practical. Well, we can solve practical problems.
What are you writing?
Just making a list of names.
Names? What sort of names?
People who might give or loan money to your cause.
Your name's at the top of the list.
Yeah, always is.
I did enjoy this evening.
The meeting?
Yeah. I really think we're getting somewhere. You know, if I'd have thought a year ago I'd be coming up to London and meeting people like the Pethick Lawrences.
Pethick Lawrences?
Well, they are special, aren't they?
Well, they've got money and a social conscience. It's an unusual combination.
It's not their fault they've got money.
No, it's ours. Your fault and my fault.
What do you mean?
Annie, you're happier than you were a year ago. You find fulfillment in the work.
Yeah.
But you mustn't make the mistake of thinking that it's for your benefit. You're not important. I'm not important. It's the mistake Christabel makes.
Christabel?
The lovely Lady Christabel. She's fighting for the emancipation of women. But the person she's really emancipating is herself. Watch her when she's making a speech. Or watch her when she comes out of prison. You're watching an emancipated woman. That's not the problem.
Come on, tell me what you mean.
Well, when you were released from prison, there was a reception committee, smiles, flowers, a cab to take you to a hearty breakfast and an interview with the press. But think about the other women, the ones who creep away silently. No flowers, no cabs, probably no breakfast either. They're the ones, Annie. The battle is for them, not for us. We don't matter.
You mean like the women on the embankment?
Yes. For Christabel, the movement is her life.
Well, and for your mother?
Yes, for her too. That's not enough. For me, it has to be a sacrifice of my life.
You're not like your mother or Christabel, are you?
Different, but the same. Different ways of doing things, but the same passions. When I quarrel with my mother, you never heard us quarrel, have you? Couldn't hear it for miles around. But we quarrel because we share the same passions, because we care.
I don't understand the difference.
Simple. My mother, and Christabel too, they devote their life to the movement. But they haven't had to give up anything else. I have. If I was sent on this earth to do anything, it was to paint pictures. Well, I may not be very good at it, you can't tell, but it's a hard job being a bad artist, even. It's what I really want to do, Annie. Paint pictures. But when I look at the women on the embankment, painting pictures seems like an obscenity. Just not important. Only to me it is important. That's not enough.
Hello, love. Cold tonight, isn't it? Get us a cup of tea. Yes. Come on. Come on, I'll take this one. You all right? Come on. Yeah. Come on.
You're very kind, dear.
Not really.
They sometimes do this, you know. Ladies of quality. Well-dressed ladies. They come down the embankment and they give us food or something to drink or new boots. We watch for them coming and try to look cold and hungry as they walk past us so as they'll notice us. Oh, yes. Ladies of quality. Very refined. Not like you.
I do my best.
Oh, you've got quality, dear, but not born to it.
Yeah, used to be a mill girl.
From the north. I can tell. I've travelled a great deal, you see. Oh, yes. You're one of us. You know what it's like to be shut in.
Yeah, well, I've been to prison.
Prison? Oh, then you'll know about freedom as well.
I've walked the Pennine Hills.
Oh, yes. Cathedrals I like.
Did you say cathedrals?
That surprises people. Oh, yes. I've seen them all. Well, mostly. Salisbury, Durham, Truro.
Walk it.
No money for fares. I take my own time. There's no hurry when you're a pilgrim. You know where you're going, and you know it'll be there when you get there.
It's like the great city.
Oh, that I couldn't say. I've always wanted to go to Russia. Now, there's a pilgrimage for you. But I don't suppose I'll ever go. No, I'll stick to my cathedrals. They're always there, twice as large as you expected and twice as handsome. They never let you down. Sugar.
Come in.
Good morning.
Annie, my love. Good morning. You're looking very pleased with yourself.
We've done it.
What have you done?
We booked Caxton Hall for our first public meeting in London, February the 16th, and that is the day the new Liberal government
hall,
assembles. But it's us they'll be listening
It'll
to.
take some filling.
We'll fill it.
As long as it's with people who know we're out here.
All Sylvia's ladies from the East End will be there.
Has anybody asked them?
Not yet.
Because somebody will have to pay their fares to get them there.
We're going to give them something to eat and drink when they arrive at the hall.
Good girl. Oh, you're thinking ahead of me, eh?
What with that and the hire of the hall and the cost of the printing?
You're short of money.
That's why I came to see you.
Me thinking all the time it was pure and simple affection.
Oh, you know it is. Look, we're short of £50. The Pethick Lawrences have donated, but we're still short.
Is that a loan you want or a gift?
To tell you the truth, we're not fussy. We'll accept either.
The nobility shines like a beacon. Well, there's W.T. Stead, he might be prepared to help her. Isabel Ford, she's a good bet. Of course, I've got a dozen schemes of my own that I want
You
to
just
get
give me
them
the
in.
addresses.
What for?
I'll race you to them.
Get away, I wouldn't even enter a race against you. Annie Kenney.
Sylvia, I've got the money.
Jess! Oh, Jessie! Oh, we thought you might need a little help.
We do. How are you, Annie?
Oh, I'm fine, love.
Oh, you look exhausted, as
Oh,
always.
thank you very much. How long are you staying in London?
Well, permanently, I hope.
Well, that's wonderful.
How much did you get, Annie?
I got two £25 loans.